Welcome to Comicstorian Full Story, where we combine complete stories into longer epics with a more complete and full story. Today is Batman: Curse of the White Knight. The White Knight was one of Benny and I's favorite Elseworlds stories involving the Joker becoming sane and becoming a good guy. This is the sequel to that story, where Joker has turned the entire city against Batman. Enjoy.
Laughter fills the halls of 1685 Arkham Manor as its current owner and ruler, Lafayette Arkham, wildly charges into battle. Edmund Wayne holds out his sword, telling the crazed general that he does not wish to kill. Surrender and leave the valley and give back what belongs to him. Lafayette grabs onto Priest Bakar and holds a blade to his neck, asking if he's willing to pay the price. It's at that moment that Edmund cracks his whip, pulling Lafayette off of Bakar by his neck, asking what price. Lafayette shouts that Gotham Valley is cursed. There are demons in these darkened forests, ancient ones that seep in from the mountains. No one is safe, and they will turn into a monster like the rest of them. Edmund tells him that he is sorry, but he doesn't believe in curses. He plunges his sword into Lafayette's neck, and he kicks him down the well. And all the while, Lafayette laughs as he plummets to his death. Current day Arkham Asylum, the warden of the facility taps away at the keypad, stating that all the cameras have been turned off. They are all very interested in what he has to offer. The Joker steps out of his cell, telling him, "Of course you are. Now come along. We have some personal items to collect." As the two walk through the empty halls of the asylum, Joker asks, "Where is everybody?" And the warden tells them that they had to move everyone out for renovations. It's all a part of Gotham's new Nate Pierre initiative. All the problems that he uncovered while the Joker spins around, grabbing the warden by the collar, shouting, "We are going to get one thing straight right now. That was Jack Napier, not me. Two separate people. You got it?" He lets him go, telling him, "It took me years to turn this city into the capital of crime, and Napier hijacks my body and manages to ruin the party." The warden gets back up, asking, "What are we here for?" And Joker holds up a bag, telling him, "For the final act! Batman and Napier will never see it coming. This city's biggest, darkest secret. The beginning and the end of Gotham. A joke only I know about. Now, there's something I'm forgetting. Ah, yes, the old disappearing pen trick." Joker takes a pen out of the warden's jacket and stabs it into his neck. And the warden shouts, asking, "Did you bring me here to stab me?" Joker tells him, "Well, I couldn't stab you earlier because that would have caused a scene. And I don't like to be rushed. Now, make sure not to spill any blood on the way back. Don't need Batman snooping around the old cell. Thanks, Warden!" During this time, though, at the Wayne Manor, Bruce finally sits down to read the note that Alfred left him at the end of our last story. The note was Alfred's final goodbyes, but there's something else detailed in it. Something that Alfred had hidden away. A journal by one Edmund Wayne. But before Bruce could even open up the book, the bat signal is shining in the sky, calling him back to duty. As Bruce sits up and heads into Arkham, he meets with the warden, and he asks what happened. "How did the Joker escape his cell?" The warden tells him that he isn't sure. The Joker stabbed him in the hallway but Batman stops him. "Wrong. An attack line like that creates a cast-off pattern and splatter on the wall. Now a clean puddle like what we have here on the floor." The warden stops, asking him, "What are you trying to say?" And Batman turns around screaming, "Where is the Joker?" The warden begins to stumble over his own words, yelling, "I don't know. Joker went to his cell and he left." Afterwards, Batman and Jim examine the Joker's old cell when they notice some fresh markings on the walls. Batman sticks a knife into the crack, seeing a false panel, and he pulls it aside to reveal a hallway into an abandoned well. He shines the light on the wall, seeing a message written in blood. But because of how long it's been there, most of the letters are faded, or someone attempted to erase it. The two look around, and Jim sees a bone sticking out of the ground and says that there seems to be a body here. But while the body is exhumed and examined, over at St. Raphael Hospital, the military vet, Jean-Paul Valley, receives news that he has cancer. It could have been exposure to the tactical use chemicals like napalm or Agent Orange. And Jean-Paul stops him, stating, "I can't talk about that." And as he does, he begins to get a weird feeling. He gets up from the table and he walks outside into the hallway, and a nurse runs over, stating, "You can't leave here without any clothes." But as the nurse reaches out, Jean-Paul grabs the man by the head, slamming him into the wall, shouting, "Don't touch me!" John Paul then walks into the chapel, falling into the candles, yelling, "I can't! Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't!" And later, over the GTO offices, Batman and Batgirl look over their findings and find out that the body that's been discovered belonged to Lafayette Arkham. Batgirl says that she remembers hearing the poems about Laffy and how he would be in the woods eating children. Batman tells her that Arkham was a British general who controlled Gotham Valley in the 1600s. And Batgirl yells, "Yeah? And he was also a vampire?" She then asks what about the medallion that was found or the message written in blood. Batman tells her that he can't be sure on those yet. But there's something else. A chest that Alfred left behind containing the journal of Edmund Wayne, the first wing to come to Gotham. What's more, there was another item in the chest, a whip made of bat leather. They don't know what the Joker has, but it goes all the way back to the founding of Gotham City and somehow involves the Waynes. Back with Jean Paul, he mops the floors of the church that he's been working at when suddenly the lights go out. He asks, "Is that to you, Father?" A voice tells him to put down the broom. He's not a janitor. He is the king, the rightful heir of Gotham. Light suddenly shines out the glass window as the silhouette of a man stands there, holding a sword. The man goes on stating, "The wars that you have been through, the ghosts in your nightmares, God has been torturing you. God has been preparing you." Joker leans out of the shadows holding the sword, telling Jean Paul, "They murdered your ancestors. They seized your land. And for 7 generations, they have sat on your throne." Jean Paul asks, "Are you an angel?" And Joker tells him, "Yes, and I am here to reveal your holy destiny." He then releases the sword, dropping it into the brazier, and continues, "Jean Paul, the truth is behind your name, the Valley. God needs you, Azrael." Jean Paul takes the sword as it burns with fire, and Joker tells him, "I need you to take the flame so that I may take the light, to correct the sin that has spread darkness throughout your kingdom. To do that, we must slay the demon, the man whose family has cursed Gotham, Bruce Wayne." Over with Bruce Wayne, he is sitting looking through the journal that Alfred Pennyworth left to him before he passed. The journal recalls the stories of what happened to Edmund Wayne back in the 1600s when they tried to take the land of Gotham. And he sees that Edmund Wayne was nothing more than a common thief. After being caught one night, he was approached by a man who would later be revealed to be Bakar. And Bakar told him that he was meant for something greater than these mere tricks. So while on their way to prison, Bakar rescues Edmund by killing dozens of guards. But then again, they seem to have more about them than just the average guardsman. Bakar spoke of a destiny that brought them to Gotham Valley. And before their showdown with Lafayette, they trained. Bakar taught Edmund how to fight, how to fire a gun, how to survive. Gotham Valley was where his family was and where he would make his final stand. However, Bakar's help came with a heavy cost, half of Gotham. And that wasn't something that he was willing to grant. But while Bruce was looking through the journal in his office, there was a knock at his door. Bruce's assistant stated that there's a woman here and she doesn't have an appointment. Before Bruce could respond, the woman says that it's very important that she speaks with him. She's there regarding their bat problem. Bruce tells his assistant to let her in and then asks what he can do for her. She sits down, telling him that he and the police can lay off her clients. Their mutual friend, the Joker, told her everything. Bruce tells her that there's been a misunderstanding, and the woman stops him, telling him that this could go a lot quicker if he stops playing stupid and just accepts that right now she knows more about Bruce Wayne than even he does. Her name is Ruth, and she created the Batman Devastation Fund. She's also the financial handler for some of Gotham's wealthier citizens, the people Napier called the elites. She was there to point out that it's in both their interests for him to make the Napier initiative go away. Bruce asks if she's going to try and blackmail him, and Ruth says no, she's just here to tell him the facts. There's a rumor going around that Bruce Wayne is considering telling Gotham the truth about Batman, but what does he think would happen if he does let that go through, if he does reveal the truth of his identity? First, the stock in his companies would plummet as the FBI seizes all of his assets and he's arrested for terrorism. Thousands of people would lose their jobs, resulting in even more crime and poverty. He'd lose his fortune over the hundreds of assault charges from decades of vigilantism. Everyone who has ever worked with him would then be charged for aiding and abetting, including the GCPD. So it's really simple. If he wants what's best for Gotham, he should continue being Batman and fighting crime. Low-level crime. And he'll find a way to help the elites by stopping the Napier Initiative. As Ruth leaves, Bruce tells her that he doesn't care what it takes to expose her. And she says that he should, because he won't survive this. Neither will Dick or Barbara or anyone else that he's roped into his insane cause. The next day, Gordon stands before the people of Gotham at a press meeting stating that he isn't a politician. He's just a blue-collared kid who wanted to be an unpaid cop. He isn't that good at a spin, and he doesn't like cameras, and he has no patience for BS. The truth is, he hated Jack Napier because he was the Joker. Doesn't matter what he was trying to do, he was the Joker. And unlike the voters, he didn't have the luxury of ignoring all the horrible things that Napier did as the Joker. Frankly, he's stunned that people voted Napier as a councilman. It took a long time for him to see that Jack Napier brought out the best in Gotham, though. While Jack Napier wasn't perfect and his past did haunt him, he did show Gotham that they had to be better and how they could be better, and that's why they created the Napier Initiative. As commissioner, he ended police corruption, addressing the problems in places like Backport, and supporting programs like the GTO. But the root of their problem isn't on the streets, it is in their ivory towers. And that is why he's asking for their support. Give him the power to stop the so-called elites, not as their commissioner, but as their mayor. That's when laughter can be heard. And the Joker walks out onto the stage holding a gun, telling them, "My brand of comedy embraces the classics. Squirting flour, whoopee cushions, yo mama jokes. Impressions were never really my thing, but hey, let's give it a whirl." Joker slaps on a fake mustache, telling him, "My name is Jim Gordon, and I'm running for mayor. Not only am I an incompetent policeman who allowed Batman to ruin this city, but I'm also a cheating husband and terrible dad. I'm too stupid to even notice that my own daughter is actually Batgirl." How was that? Too much nose? But while this is going on, back over at Ruth's desk, she sighs, stating that it doesn't look like Wayne is going to cooperate. So, Mr. Valley, your plan B. Jean-Paul sets his sword on the desk, telling her, "Azrael." Ruth tells him, "Okay, Azrael, mind pulling your sword out of my mahogany desk?" Azrael leaves his sword in it, telling her, "I don't have time for your schemes. For me, it's simple. Bruce's family took my kingdom in cold blood, and now that's exactly what I'm going to take back. Michael is a sniper, and Gabriel is demolitions. Our specialty is disrupting enemy networks by removing key players, and Gotham has a lot of key players." Ruth tells him that it's not enough to kill Batman, he must replace him. Become their Batman, and in exchange they will make him rich, like a king. Just tell her exactly what they need. Meanwhile, over at the GCPD, Jim Gordon lights a cigarette, telling himself that Joker was right. He spent years working alongside his own daughter, and he couldn't tell because of some silly mask. He's a hell of a detective. Jim points to Bruce Wayne, telling him, "And you, all this talk of trusting and turning a new leaf, stating that you'd reveal yourself to Gotham, when exactly is that going to happen?" Bruce tells him that they both agreed that it would complicate things. And Jim shouts, "Well, I was wrong! You should come out as Bruce Wayne. Then maybe Joker and the elites wouldn't have destroyed my little girl's life." Later, still trying to process what happened, Bruce turns to the last person to help him. The last person that could help him. Harley Quinn. As Harley reads the paper on her balcony, she says out loud that he keeps forgetting that she is the only one in Gotham he can't sneak up on. Bruce steps out, telling her that he needs her. "We have Joker in custody, and we need help interrogating him." Harley tells him that she doesn't give a crap about the Joker. So Bruce asks, "What about Jack Napier?" She pauses for a moment and tells him Jack is gone. She can't go down that road again. Her heart can't take it. Besides, she has other things to worry about. As she turns to show herself in the light, Bruce steps back, asking, "You're pregnant?" And Harley tells him, "Oh look, it's the world's greatest detective." With nothing else to go on, Bruce returns to the Batcave to go over the files of what Gotham Valley used to be, what it was back in the days of Edmund Wayne and Bakar. But before long, the computer indicates that there has been a security breach. Bruce looks at the computer and the image of a hooded Azrael appears, and he tells Bruce, "Our brothers were to divide the land and live in peace. However, one son rose against the other, like Cain and Abel. God cursed Cain for what he had done, just as he had cursed Gotham. I am the vengeance. I am God's wrath, here to break the curse and rise up against you and deliver this land from evil. After 3 centuries, the House of Wayne will finally be rectified. And with that, Azrael gives the word. Burn him. And with the finishing of that sentence, the Batmobile starts to fire up. Next, the Batjet flies up, crashing right before Bruce. Just as Bruce gets back to his feet, the Batmobile speeds by with Bruce quickly jumping onto it and pulling at its wires. Outside, Gabriel loads up the truck, stating that she's just set the charges on the mansion. And Azrael tells them, move out! While Bruce rewires the Batmobile, Azrael radios in that it's too late, Bruce. This is God's will. Without answering, Bruce punches the navigation screen. He begins to drive out of the Batcave as it is bursting into flames. And with that, the Wayne Mansion explodes and Azrael and his team drive off. The explosion blasts the Batmobile into the water, effectively destroying it and forcing Bruce to kick out the windows just to even escape. As he swims up, gasping for air, Nightwing shouts, "There!" And Batgirl asks if he's okay. Nightwing tells her to just get them the hell out of here. Debris from the mansion is still falling down everywhere. When once the 3 are clear, Nightwing tells Bruce that he's sorry. There was no way to rescue him without blowing his cover. As the GTO helicopter flies down, Bullock leans over asking, "That's Bruce Wayne? You gotta be kidding me." As the helicopter goes into the air, Bruce looks out watching as his home turns to ash. Later, as Bruce sits unmasked in the GCPD, Batgirl asks how the hell did this happen? Who would attack him directly? And Bruce says that he only saw a glimpse of him. A strange mask, a red cloak, big sword. Used Hatter to hack into the security systems and turned everything against him. Montoya then asks, how could they have found him? And Bruce tells her that he's pretty sure that he was sent by a woman named Ruth. She walked into his office at Wayne Tech the other day and said that she was working with the Joker, and that she knew everything about Batman and Bruce Wayne and the entirety of the Wayne situation. She also said that she represented the elites and wanted him to cooperate in stopping the Napier Initiative. Batgirl says that she doesn't understand. If he knew so much about him, why bother exposing her? Bruce says that it's because without him, they can't make money on the Batman Devastation Fund. They need Batman, or a version of Batman that will cooperate with them. Bullock scoffs, telling him, great, just what Gotham needed, another colorful whack job. And Bruce tells him that no, this one is different. The Joker picked him for a reason. The medallion left behind was the symbol of an ancient cult, the Order of Saint Dumas. The man in the cloak was wearing the same thing. Back then, though, Edmund wasn't alone. He had a partner named Bakar who wore this symbol, and Edmund was supposed to give him half the land of Gotham in exchange for the help. Batgirl asks, is the guy who blew up your house a descendant of Bakar? And Bruce tells her, that or Joker convinced him that he was. Just then the group gets a call and Montoya tells everyone that Gordon is on the phone. He's ready to interrogate the Joker. But before beginning, Bruce has one place to be. As Harley unboxes and begins to assemble her new crib, she says to herself, if you were supposed to have a screwdriver for this thing, why wouldn't you include one? Just then Bruce hands her a screwdriver, and Harley tells him that he's the creepiest handyman ever. What does he even want? Bruce starts to put the crib together, telling her, I thought a lot about you over the last year. How you turned the city against me. Know what the worst part of that was? Harley tells him, getting beaten by a girl? And Bruce tells her, no. It was losing my family. Harley tells him that he doesn't have a family. They're all just a bunch of weirdos in tights. And Bruce tells her, well, when you're an orphan, you make family wherever you can find it. Harley then responds, oh, I didn't know you were an orphan. No offense, but that kind of explains a lot. Harley looks away, telling him, you're just here to try and trick me to help you get Jack back. And Bruce tells her, it's not a trick. He takes off his mask, revealing himself to be Bruce Wayne to the Harley Quinn of this universe, and tells her, I need you to trust me. Later, back at the police department, Bruce walks into the interrogation room and the Joker laughs, shouting, well done! I missed the barbecue! Bruce holds out the medallion asking, who is he? And the Joker yells, that is my knight! The elites are my pawns, and Ruth is my queen! Check! Bruce places his hand on the table, telling him, I know about Lafayette Arkham. Joker pauses and Bruce goes on, telling him, that's right, we found the body, thanks to the help of Jack. Jack told me that he discovered the Joker there. All those years of everyone thinking that you were the worst villain out there, but instead, you're just a cheap knockoff. Joker slams his hand on the table in frustration and then tells him, well, a great performer shouldn't be ashamed to admit his influences. Napier accidentally found Laffy when he was trying to dig out of his cell. And with me, all my secrets. That's when the Joker was created. Laffy told me a joke written in blood. The greatest joke in all of Gotham. A joke only I know. The truth about the Wayne family. And I've been laughing ever since. Just waiting for the right moment to begin the grand finale. The day that I finally get to share the joke with the entire city. Bruce asks, what did the message say? And the Joker smiles. You'll just have to wait and see. Just then a voice says that if the Joker won't cooperate, they know someone who will. Joker looks over, stating, oh, this is gonna be good. And Harley tells Jack that she needs to speak to Jack, not the Joker. Joker yells, oh Lord, can't you take a hint? It's over! You're worthless, weak, unlovable! Victimhood is your superpower! Bruce gets ready to jump over the table when Harley stands up, stopping him, telling him, it's fine. I've been called worse. Joker then sees Harley's stomach, seeing her pregnant, and bursts out laughing. What? Are you here for child support? I'm gonna guess it states you're having twins. I suppose I can spare a few bucks. One of those brats is basically mine. We'll have to abort Napier's though. Hey Batman, have a coat hanging around the utility belt? After it being Harley's turn to lunge over the table at those remarks, Harley and Bruce leave, looking through Joker's old cell to see if there was anything that they missed. And Harley says that this place is creepier without the psychopaths in it. As the two step into the well, Harley asks if this is where old Laffy died. So who killed him? Bruce says that there were two men. One was a pirate named Bakar, and the other was Edmund Wayne. Lafayette survived the fall, but before he died, he wrote a message in blood. Did Napier ever mention anything about it? Harley shrugs, says that he never said a word. She was just as disappointed about knowing the grand finale like them. Also, she's going to throw this out there, but have they ever thought that maybe Edmund killed Bakar? How else would that medallion have gotten in here? Bruce takes out a scanner and says that he thought that it fell off during the struggle, but he found something. Another body. Meanwhile, over at a bar in Gotham, Jim and the other GCPD officers kick back as Jim announces that he's going to be stepping down as commissioner to pass the reins on to Montoya. Montoya says, whoa, 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 why are you picking me? What about Bullock? And Bullock throws his arms around her. The title ain't for me. Besides, it's about time that we had a lady at the helm. Montoya throws her drink in his face, asking, oh, is this some equal opportunity crap? And everyone laughs. Jim heads out, stating that he's got to work on his speech for tomorrow. Don't stay up too late, Commissioner. As he steps out, he lights his cigarette, and then he notices Batman in the shadows. He walks over, taking a drag, telling him, I was hoping that I'd run into you. Listen, I'm sorry about blowing up about Barbara. It's just, she's all that I got left, Batman. But I know better than anyone that she wasn't forced into this kind of life. Just promise. No more secrets? Deal? Jim holds out his hand, but the hand that takes it is not Bruce's, and whoever that is reaches out. Deal. Back with Lafayette's well, Bruce begins to dust off the bones when suddenly Harley screams. Bruce asks what's going on, and Harley yells that it's happening. This chunky blonde is not going through that tiny passage back out. Harley lays down and asks, do you have any bat strength painkillers in that belt of yours? And Bruce tells her, this is not a good idea. We don't know how safe. But Harley grabs Bruce by the cowl, shouting, just give me your damn drugs! Or I swear to God I will make you fight a pregnant woman! Back with Jim, he's thrown to the ground by Azrael. And when he goes for his gun, everyone starts to hear shots being fired. As everyone runs outside, they see Azrael holding his sword to Jim's neck and Jim telling him, tell Barbara I love her. I couldn't have been more proud of her. Just then, Michael and Gabriel open fire on Montoya and the rest of the GCPD. While having cover fire, Jim asks, who are you? And Azrael tells him, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in the darkness, but shall light the life. Azrael then thrusts his flaming sword through Jim's chest, telling Jim, tell the devil that Azrael sent you. The thunk into Jim's chest can be heard by everyone, and as they stop to look, Bullock is shot in the shoulder. Azrael then puts his foot on Jim's chest, pulling the sword out, kicking Jim Gordon over the ledge and into the alley below. As the EMTs rush into Gotham Hospital, no one can hear the screaming that is all around them. Babs thinks back to the car ride with her father when she was younger, and how she said that she didn't want to go to school anymore because a boy pushed her down when he tried to kiss her. She didn't tell the teachers because she didn't want to get the boy in trouble. It was then that Jim told her that if anyone ever tries to hurt her, she's to hurt them back, harder. That's what Babs is thinking about as her father is dying on the operating table. She hopes She wishes. But as the machine starts to let out that long, ear-piercing beep, she knows that her father, Jim Gordon, is gone. She rushes out of the hospital, telling herself that it's not true, and as she does, she passes Batman. Batman saw the look in her eyes, and he knew what had just happened. He runs past, going past all of the doctors, the nurses, feeling the same level of dread that Babs did. Jim Gordon was gone. Later, at the GCPD, Babs shouts asking how could they manage to let her father's killer escape with all of them there? They were all there when her father was gunned down in an alleyway. Why was he killed with all of them there? Batman tells her it's because of the Napier Initiative. If Jim was to become mayor, then he would become the biggest threat to their enemies. Babs turns back screaming, "No! They killed him because of you! Because of what Batman started. Jim Gordon believed in you, and he was willing to put it all on the line while others hid in the shadows, like a coward." Nightwing tries to stop her, but Montoya grabs her, telling her that she needs to focus right now. They're in the middle of a manhunt. Nightwing snaps back, asking who put her in charge, and Montoya grabs his jacket, shouting, "James goddamn Gordon did. And if you're going to continue to work for the GTO, you better get used to following her orders." But while discourse falls on the GTO, Batman takes his leave to check on Harley. He climbs in through her window, asking how are they? And Leslie tells him that they're a bit underweight, but she isn't too worried. Batman pulls off his mask, and Leslie asks if he's sure about this, telling everyone who he really is. Is he really going to reveal it to the entire world? Batman turns to her, telling her that there's something else. Jim was killed. Before Batman can even finish getting the words out, he falls to his knees, and he begins to cry. Back at the GCPD, Babs combs through the records and surveillance tapes, trying to find a clue on who her father's killers were, when Nightwing tells her that they both know that Montoya is going to order her to take a leave of absence to get over the loss of her father. Babs says that she'll just quit then. No one could stop her from finding Azrael. They should be angry right now. Bruce is out of his mind, and they all bought into it. Capes, cowls, secret identities. This insanity has ruined their lives. But no one wants to say anything because they're too deep. Nightwing turns to leave, telling her that he isn't in the habit of defending Bruce, but she's not being fair. They both chose this, and so did her father. As he goes, Babs goes back to the computer when she notices a customized military vehicle leaving the scene shortly after her father's death. And meanwhile, over at one of the many safe houses, Batman looks over the journal that was left to him by Alfred Pennyworth when he passed away, once more to try and find information of its origin. When Leslie comes down with some tea, she sees the pages, and she asks if Alfred finally told him. Batman looks back asking how did she know? And Leslie says that she was there when Alfred received a letter that was addressed to him. At the time, Batman was still a new thing, and Alfred focused on taking care of business affairs. The letter asked for him to come to an address that wasn't on record to one of the older parts of Gotham. Alfred knew that he had to go, and that's when they met a man who claimed to be the last knight of the Order of Saint Dumas, a priest. That priest handed Alfred the journal, telling him that he trusts that the journal would be given to Bruce Wayne when the time was right. But before Alfred could ask any questions, the man disappeared. Batman looks at the monitor, stating that the journal spoke of a curse, a blood feud between the Waynes and the Bakars. But whatever it is, he needs to figure it out. Might be the only way to find this Azrael. At this time, over at the GCPD, Babs is gearing herself up in the armory, and she gets ready to leave when Bullock asks if she's sure she wants to do this. Does she plan on just, arresting him? Babs walks up to him, telling him no, she doesn't. So Bullock grabs a rifle. Atta girl, you drive. Moments later, Batman gets a call from Nightwing telling him that Babs and Bullock are missing. They took the tumbler and they turned off the GPS. He's going to assume that backup locators are in all Batmobiles, ones that even the GCPD doesn't know about. Batman remains silent for a few seconds, and then he says that she's headed up Route 1 near the Gotham River. Later, across town, Azrael along with Michael and Gabrielle start making their way to the hideout when suddenly a Batmobile slams into the side of their truck. The two vehicles fall off the side of the cliff and they crash into the canal below. Azrael pulls himself out of the wreckage asking, "Is that Batman?" Babs walks over with her gun, and through her tears she tells him, "No! Someone far worse!" Her finger tightens around the trigger, and as she pulls it, a batarang whips around the muzzle of the gun, pulling it out of her hands. Batman calls out to her asking, "What do you think you're doing?" And that's when Michael and Gabrielle open fire. Azrael leans up, tackling Babs to the ground, and Bullet shouts, "Hurry up and shoot! Shoot him now!" In Batman's moment of hesitation, Azrael grabs Babs and knees her in the back with a loud crack. Before he can pull any harder, Batman loosens the batarang from the gun, throwing it around Azrael's neck and quickly pulls him off. Batman jumps on him, shouting, "The fight is between you and me! Leave the others out of this!" As Batman pushes down on Azrael's sword, it suddenly ignites and Azrael says, "This is your retribution. This is God's will." Batman is launched across the field yelling, "I know all about Edmund and Bakar. And no matter what was taken, the Waynes have been and always will be the protectors of Gotham." Azrael walks over telling him, "I agree." And he swings the sword at Batman's face. As the rest of the GTO arrive, they take down Michael, and when Nightwing calls out looking for Barbara, he sees a shadow rising out of the smoke. Batman steps out with his mask torn off, holding Barbara's limp body. The day after Barbara Gordon and Bullock went to get revenge and it went horrible, the city of Gotham is mourning the death of Commissioner James Gordon. Everyone stops to pay their respects, but there's one person who is not at the funeral: Batman. Later, at the GCPD, Batman pulls up with Bullock yelling, "Where the hell were you? Jim died because of you and you were too busy to attend his goddamn funeral?" Montoya tries to calm down Bullock, but he pulls away shouting, "No! What about Babs? Why didn't you waste Azrael when you had the chance?" Montoya tells him, "Because he and Barbara went rogue. That's why Barbara is in a wheelchair. And that kind of reckless behavior is going to get you suspended, Bullock." Batman tells the both of them, "No, Bullock is right. I should have been there. After everything that happened, I just wasn't sure I'd be welcome. I didn't want to cause a fight." Montoya goes on stating that what made Gordon so great is that he understood two things: trust and compromise. He accepted that the good guys didn't always get along. They just needed to trust each other. And then moving forward sometimes meant embracing their differences. Bullock asks how do they move forward from this, and Batman holds up a disc saying by focusing on the work. "We've always believed that Gotham began as a small village on the coast. That's why the Journal's map is so strange. It places the village in the wrong place, on the edge of the large bay that extended inland, in an area that we know as Gotham Reservoir. However, the journal is inaccurate. The settlement is beneath the reservoir. Someone tried to erase history by flooding. And that man was Edmund Wayne, my ancestors. With Arkham dead, Edmund tried to reclaim his own inheritance, but rather than honoring his promise to give Bakar half of Gotham, Edmund killed him. Edmund convinced the British to help him purge the entire valley so that they could turn it into one of the most valuable ports of the New World. He then erased all evidence of Bakar and the chapel of St. Dumas by damming the river and flooding the valley. The villagers who lost their homes then resettled in Backport. Edmund redrew the coastline as the land below the lake dried up, and then he built a new settlement by selling property to the East India Trading Company. That is the truth about Gotham, and it's how the Waynes' fortune started in the New World. That's why the Joker sent Azrael. By reviving the descendant of Bakar, Joker wants to expose the cover-up and destroy the Wayne legacy. And if we're going to get any more information out of the Joker, there's only one person that can do it. So, later, Harley Quinn is visiting the Joker in jail with their children in hopes of getting through to Jack Napier. Harley sits down at the glass divider asking Jack where Azrael is, and what did the message written in blood on the well walls state? Joker walks up stating, "Jesus! Not you again? Thought I made myself real clear." He then stops and begins to look around. "Where is he?" Harley sits down telling him that Batman's not coming, and Joker says, "I always thought that you were pretty boring. Maybe that's why I kept you around. You made me look that much more hilarious. But this is just stupid. Why would you risk bringing your children here? What's stopping me from escaping and kidnapping?" And Harley says that he won't, because Jack won't let him. The Joker bursts out laughing. And Harley tells him that if he won't let Jack in, then they will never see her again. And the only memories the children will have of their father is this nightmare. Joker holds his head, trying to contain his laughter, telling her, "Maybe I was wrong. Maybe you're funnier than I give you credit for." Harley takes one last look at the Joker and then says, "Goodbye, Jack. I love you." As she begins to leave, a voice calls out to her, telling her to wait. I love you too." And that voice came from Jack Napier. Once Jack is secured in a chair with a dozen armed guards around him, he looks at the twins and says that they're beautiful. He's so sorry that he couldn't have been there. Harley tells him it's okay, Batman delivered them. It was a bit of an emergency while investigating Laffy. Jack says, wait. Batman delivered my children, born exactly where the Joker was born, at Laffy Arkham's grave? If that isn't dripping with irony. And Harley reaches out telling him that there's more going on here than they realize. They need help. Jack tells her that he can't. Joker knows everything that he knows. It doesn't work the other way around. And Harley takes Jack's hand, telling him to think. Where is Azrael? Giant religious nut with a big flaming sword. Just think, Jack. So Jack tries to concentrate when suddenly he sees it. The sword, the flaming cross, a sword lodged in a pool of holy oil in some old church with a giant stained glass window. St. Jerome's Chapel in Old Gotham. Harley says that that's good, very good. What about the message on the wall, the one in blood, Jack? Jack focuses on the night that he was there. He can see words and they said, oh no. Harley asks, what is it? And Jack tells her, well, I'll tell you, but you cannot tell Batman. Harley asks why, and Joker tells her, because it would destroy him. Meanwhile, over in Ruth's office, she tells Azrael that their contract has now become void. He has become a liability. He was an investment to fight the Napier Initiative. They paid him to eliminate Batman so that they could replace him, not wreak havoc all over Gotham with a flaming sword. Azrael puts on his mask, telling her, I was clothed in a robe dripped in blood, and the name by which I am called is the Word of God. Ruth looks at Azrael's sword as it hangs next to her head, telling him that she was hoping that they could be civil about this. And that's when Bane charges in, tackling Azrael to the ground. Azrael fights back, stating that the mercenaries are weak. They only worship money. Bane gets up asking, you think that I am weak? Then let's turn up the juice a little. He injects himself, throwing Azrael across the room and starts to pull him back by the tassels. As he begins to laugh, he lifts up Azrael above his head, telling him, your faith is your weakness. That's when Bane feels the tube in the back of his head get cut, and he drops Azrael. Gabrielle is standing there, and Azrael ignites his sword, stating that often mercenaries leave themselves exposed. Bane tells him the tube is there to challenge anyone to come in close if they dare cut it. And Azrael picks up Bane by the tube, telling him, I will accept your challenge. And with a single cut, he lobs off Bane's head. Ruth begins to shout, asking him to not do this, and Azrael recoats his sword, telling her, this is a special form of napalm. When I pull the sword out, there's a button that will set this sword on fire. If I don't push the button, then no flames. However, the napalm can still be ignited, even by something as small as a candle. He lays his sword down on Ruth while Gabrielle ties her down and she screams, asking, what do you want? Azrael tells her, I want a list of your clients, all the names of the elites, giving her a set time limit as it melts down. And Ruth yells, wait, I'll tell you. Later in Arkham, the prisoners get up and they hear a pair of heavy footsteps coming down the hall. They look down to see a man with a bat symbol holding a sword. And seconds later, a flaming sword begins to cleave through the villains one by one. Joker wakes up. Well, it would seem that someone is clearing out the competition. How'd you get past the security? The man says, they just let me walk through. And the Joker asks, why would they let you do that? Azrael steps out of the shadows wearing the bat suit that Ruth was working on, tells him, because I'm Batman. As Azrael and Joker begin to make their escape, Joker says that he really wants to know. Did security just let you through because you looked like a cyber metal Batman? Didn't even raise an eyebrow? As Joker looks down at the entryway though, he sees all of the dead security guards, and he says, oh, that makes sense. Gabriel hands Joker his gun, telling him that they still need to fight through the next batch. Get ready! As the metal doors slide open, Azrael, Gabriel, and Joker all open fire. Meanwhile, over at one of Batman's safe houses, Batman tells Harley that he can tell that she's keeping something from him, something Jack Napier said. the alter ego of the Joker. Harley says, does he even trust her? And Batman says that, I trust that you have a good reason as to why you'd be keeping something from me. For now, we're going to split up. I'll look for Azrael while you go to the GTO building. Harley pauses for a moment and says thanks for trusting in her. Be careful, Batman. Batman's first stop is the pub where Alfred first received the journal to speak with the St. Dumas priest and to try and find a lead. The priest says that he has not seen Azrael since the Joker got to him, and Batman asks, why should you be trusted? So the priest tells him because Jean-Paul Valley is a very dangerous man and he needs to be stopped. Batman then asks, who is he? And the priest sits down stating that he is a knight of the Order of St. Dumas, a historian and a collector. When he learned that the Joker found the journal, he knew that he had to get it from him. He feared that the Joker would use the journal to expose the truth about Gotham's curse and disrupt the peace that the Waynes had created. Since he was a kid, he was taught what it really meant to be a knight. That every warrior must find balance and that you can't know violence unless you know peace. But Jean-Paul grew older. He became angry, restless, and uncontrollable. So the Order did what they thought best and they sent Jean-Paul to war. They had hoped that the battlefield would quench his bloodlust and that he would return to shed those demons. However, the Joker destroyed all of that by reigniting the blood feud, the Bakars and the Waynes. And now the entire city will know the truth of Edmund Wayne. Batman says, I already know the big secret and I really don't care. Edmund didn't want to share his inheritance, so he killed Bakar and then flooded the valley, destroying the village so that he could rebuild his fortune. The priest asks, is that what you think happened? There's much more to the story than what's in that journal. The Order of St. Dumas sent Bakar to Gotham on a quest to bring peace to the valley. But rather than converting the sinners, he joined them, and so he was banished. But Bakar wouldn't go quietly. He wanted vengeance. He wanted to seize power by finding the last Wayne. Their goal was to overthrow the criminal empire of Gotham, and the two became criminals themselves. Thieves, smugglers, pirates, they became the worst of the worst. And years passed, and once Edmund's heart had become as dark as the criminals that they had worked with, Bakar began the next part of his plan, to turn Edmund into a killer. Bakar sent Edmund to Laffey Arkham, and the two were to divide the valley in half. But Bakar, he had other plans. However, I will not give you all of the answers now. Sometimes, one must find their own path to discover their own truths. It's at that moment that Montoya shouts over the radio that Azrael is at the GTO and they need help now. As the priest leaves, Batman asks again who he is, and the priest tells him, my name is Jason Blood, and I've been in this valley a very long time. Batman then asks, how do you know all of this? And as Jason touches the mirror, his own reflection becomes that of a demon, and he tells him that he has some experiences with curses. A short while later, over at the GTO building, Batman pulls up asking what happened, and Montoya tells him that it was Azrael. He attacked with no warning. They managed to get Gabriel. Batman starts to look around asking, where's Harley? But off in the distance, Harley's dogs begin to bark and dig in the debris as Batman is rushing over. After moving around the rubble, Harley begins to cough and weakly says, he took them. He took my babies, Batman. Batman tells her to relax. Her ribs are broken. Lay down, Ed. But she screams, I'm not gonna lay down! I want my children back! And I'm going to go get them back from the Joker. Batman tries to calm her down, but Harley yells, no! This is all your fault! You had me put up with more of the Joker's humiliating abuse, and you had me become reminded of how blind I was all of those years ago, and now you've exposed my children to it. Batman realizes that there's no talking her down. He goes to his bike and he hands Harley her costume, telling her, suit up. But before leaving, everyone then sees the bat signal appearing in the sky, and Nightwing asks, where is that even coming from? So Batman looks in the direction of the spot, stating, looks like it's coming from the old Arkham building. Batman and Harley race over to Arkham, narrowly dodging the traps that are in place for them. Azrael sits and watches at the entryway, and right when he sees footprints on Thermal, he begins his hunt. Once he's close enough, Batman leaps over the ledge, throwing a flash grenade that disrupts Azrael's suit, and he jumps in, kicking him in the face. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Harley quietly walks through the halls, calling out to Jack that the Joker wants to murder their children. We can't allow this to happen, Jack. You need to take control. The echo of the Joker rings throughout as he tells them, this place is special. This is where I first met Harleen Quinzel, the virtuous woman who would care for anyone. That's why she was turned into Harley Quinn, to be Arkham's biggest embarrassment and inmate. That's why you keep aligning yourself with the powerful. Myself, Napier, and now Batman. All because you're weak. Now your children will see for themselves just how helpless their mother really is. As the Joker jumps out of the shadows, he hesitates, shouting in pain, and his skin slowly turns back to normal as Jack Napier runs over telling Harley, "Don't listen to him. You're not helpless. The truth is the Joker is scared of you, Harley. That's why he's always kept you at a distance. Because you saw the things that he was most ashamed of, his humanity and his compassion. That's how we're going to beat him. You've surpassed everything that the Joker ever did to you. He sat helplessly by while you overturned Gotham and Batman in ways that he never could. He's humiliated by you, Harleen. Joker's greatest enemy isn't Batman, it's Harley Quinn." As Jack hands Harley the twins, she asks, "What can I do to help? Just tell me what you need me to do, Jack." And his hand begins to tremble as he grips the gun and he tells her, "You need to run! I can't keep control of him!" As Harley turns to go, the Joker takes back control of the body, laughing as he points the gun at Harley's back. But before he could pull the trigger, Jack fights for control, grabbing a hammer, smashing himself in the face, or the Joker's face. Harley shouts that he did it, but Jack tells her no. She has to keep running. The Joker will never leave them alone. He'll never leave their children alone. There's only one way to end this, Harley. As she tries to help him up, Jack pushes her away, and he puts the gun beneath his chin. Harley yells for him not to do it, and as Jack is crying, tears streaming down his face, he tells her, "I love you, Harley." The gun begins to shake and he yells, "I can't! The Joker won't let me do it! Harley, take the gun! Stop me!" She takes the gun as the Joker takes control, lunging at her, and just as he gets her hands on her, there's a single gunshot. Back with Batman, Azrael continues to beat on him, telling him, "Try harder. This is way too easy." Batman groans, "Are you enjoying this?" And Azrael tells him, "Admit it. We both are." Batman yells, "We are not the same. I do not kill." And Azrael tells him, "You're just one who doesn't have the conviction to do what must be done. And if you don't, you'll never bring peace." And Batman screams, "How does killing bring peace to Gotham? Why did Gordon have to die? You're not a knight fighting a holy war. You're a demon, just like Bakar. And that's why you lost everything, because you dared attack the Waynes." But then the laughing can be heard in the distance as Joker walks up all bloody. "You've got it all wrong, Batman. It wasn't Bakar who died next to Laffy. It was Edmund Wayne. With Arkham dead, Bakar's plan was almost complete. All he needed to do was eliminate Edmund. And so he did. He could then steal Edmund Wayne's identity, flood the valley, and start rebuilding Gotham. Edmund barely survived the fall into the well, but before he died, he left a message on the wall. A message in his own blood, hoping that it would one day reveal the truth. I am Edmund Wayne." As Batman begins to process this information, Azrael slams his sword into Batman's shoulder and the Joker goes on yelling, "That's why I've always been smiling! Because the joke I was told at Edmund's tomb, that Gotham's greatest hero is descended from criminals, that Batman is using a stolen fortune to wage a war on crime that his own family helped create. Do you get it, Bruce? You're not a real Wayne! Azrael is!" Azrael holds out the ring, telling him, "Once this is over, I'll be taking it all back from you and the rest of the elites." But before Azrael could push the sword in further, Harley jumps through, kicking him off the ledge into the dark pits below. She then turns and points the gun at the Joker, who laughs, shouting, "You won't do it! You don't have the..." She pulls the trigger, and with a single gunshot, the Joker falls to the ground. Batman and Harley kneel, unable to say anything, as Jack wipes the tears from Harley's face. Batman takes Jack's hand, and he tells her that she'll be okay. And Harley turns to Batman, holding him, as Jack Napier, finally in control, takes his final breath and passes on. As the realization of not being a Wayne sets in, Batman thinks back to how this all began. He would often stare at the crossed sword hanging on the wall, wishing he could pull one down. But after that fateful night, he would stare at the swords and cry. He would cry and blame himself for what had happened. He was the one who wanted to go see the movie. Alfred found the young Bruce staring up at the wall and said that he would like to propose a deal. If he was ready to attend the funeral, he would be ready to hold the rapier. When they get back, he will learn how to use it, how to fight, so that the next time that he's in danger, he'll know what to do. Young Bruce sniffles, asking, "Like Zorro?" And Alfred tells him, "Yes, like Zorro." Now, the current day, a much older Batman stares at those swords once again, thinking about how the Waynes were always guardians, going all the way back to the Middle Ages. They were nobles, using their wealth to defend the people who shared their land. And as Batman, he wanted to honor that tradition. Learning the truth of Edmund Wayne has been difficult, but never once was not being a Wayne a thought. The truth is, Azrael's a descendant of a man who died in that well. As Batman stares at the computer screen, Harley tells him that he was right. She was keeping something from him. Jack Napier and her were worried what the truth might do to him, but they both knew that he would eventually figure it out. She couldn't stop it, but she would at least be there for him when he found out the truth. Batman lets out a sigh. The Joker's right. There is a curse in Gotham, and it's Batman. Harley shouts, "That's bull! Was your father a curse? Was your mother? We're not responsible for something that we never knew about, and neither are you. Who cares if you're technically not a Wayne? You're still doing what you've always done, guarding the city, using your fortune to protect people." Batman stops her, telling her, "Not according to this. It's the list of the elites. The GTO found Ruth, or what was left of her after Azrael killed her. There are names of every business and every investor she's ever made profit on. Most of it's channeled through one company, the largest company in Gotham, Wayne Corp. That's why she didn't want me to come to Gotham with the truth. I was her biggest client, Harley." Harley asks, "How did you not know? You're Batman. You know, the world's best detective." Batman sits back, telling her, "That's the problem. I've been Batman for so long that it's taken over my life. I can't even shake someone's hand without imagining 3 different ways of breaking their elbow. I don't even know how to be Bruce Wayne anymore. I don't really know who he is. Joker and Azrael have proven it. Gotham will never forgive me." Harley kneels down, telling him, "Yes, they will. After all, they forgave Jack Napier for being the Joker, and you know why? Because he took off the mask. He asked for forgiveness. He knew in order to help Gotham, you had to trust Gotham." Batman tells her, "I do trust Gotham." And Harley asks, "Do you? Do you really?" Batman then says, "It'll destroy everything if I reveal it. I will have nothing left. I'll just be a poor Bruce Wayne." Harley takes him by the hand, telling him, "You'll still have your friends. You'll still have me." Later that day, Barbara struggles to walk again in crutches when she happens to slip. But it wasn't a nurse that caught her from falling, it was Batman. No, it was Bruce Wayne. And Bruce tells her that she's making good progress, and Barbara says that Azrael almost broke her spine. The doctors are stunned at any recovery. Bruce says that he's not. After all, you're a Gordon, and I'm sorry. Barbara sighs, telling him, "No, it's not your fault. I shouldn't have gone after Azrael after he killed my father without..." And Bruce stops her. "No. I should have done it. I should have used that gun to kill Azrael." Barbara's taken back, asking, "What? Batman would never." Bruce tells her, "No, I'm not Batman anymore. Turns out I'm not even a Wayne. I can't fix Gotham's corruption because I'm part of that corruption. The family fortune, the cape, the cowl. I need to come clean, Barbara. It'll be the only way to come clean. Might be the only way to destroy the elites and give this city a new start." Barbara asks, "What are you talking about?" And Bruce tells her, he thought that coming clean was too dangerous. Said it was safer for Batman to just disappear. Do you think he'd understand? Do you think he'd forgive me for what I've done? Barbara asks, "Who is he?" And Bruce says, "Your father." Barbara takes Bruce's hands and says that he really frustrated her father. Not because he broke the law, but because Batman was proof that they couldn't fix Gotham by following the rules. That's why he took the risk and embraced Batman. He admired Batman. Part of him wanted to be Batman. If he was here right now, he wouldn't want you to do that. He would trust you to make your own decision, then do everything that he could to support it, Bruce. Later that evening, the newly appointed police commissioner Renee Montoya holds a press conference telling the people of Gotham that she is declaring a citywide emergency as they begin the manhunt for the man known as Azrael. He is responsible for the death of dozens of super criminals, 23 police officers, and those include the late Commissioner Jim Gordon. But as she goes on, the feed is cut and images of Batman begin to appear. Batman tells everyone that it's been his honor to serve them over the past few decades. Fighting crime, saving lives, all in an effort to make this city a better place. However, he knew that it couldn't go on forever. It's clear to him that the era of Batman must come to an end. Over the years, things have become more complicated. It's no longer a childish game of cops and robbers. It's serial killers, monsters, and super criminals. When this began, all he needed was some rope and a pair of handcuffs. Now he is a one-man army who does as much damage to the people as he does to the criminals. He has become a villain, and that is why Jack Napier beat him. That is why, as of this moment, he is supporting the Napier Initiative, because Batman means being whatever Gotham needs him to be, and that they all now need to know the truth, that Batman is really Bruce Wayne. As Bruce pulls the mask down, he goes on stating that he recently learned that the Wayne Empire had been hijacked by those who have corrupted Gotham the most, the elites. That is why he is giving it all away, to destroy the elites, to give back to the people of Gotham. His fortune does not belong to him, it belongs to the people of the city. All the money and the assets will be put into nonprofits to create better schools, libraries, homeless shelters, and scholarships. Everything generated will be donated back to Gotham, offsetting their taxes for decades. Gotham will no longer be a city of darkness. It will become a city of light, a beacon. It will be a place without shadows, without Batman. But first, he needs a favor. Azrael is still out there. As soon as the sun goes down, he'll make his move, and as Batman, he can get him, but not at the cost of hurting those around. That is why he is asking everyone to stay off the streets until Azrael is caught. He is asking for their forgiveness. He is asking to trust him one last time. He is asking for their permission to be Batman one final time. As the cameras turn off, Montoya asks, "You really can't help yourself, huh? Making decisions alone and forcing everyone to fall in line?" Bruce tells her, "I started this. Now I need to end it. You want to arrest Azrael without getting people hurt? This is the best option." Montoya says that most of Gotham doesn't even like him right now. How can he be sure that 8 million people will stay clear of the streets? Bruce heads into the garage telling her, "It's a risk, but if we clear the streets, I'll know that they're with me. And when it's all over, I'll turn myself in. In Gotham, no one is above the law, not even me. Azrael will most likely be targeting hospitals. With Ruth dead, he'll need a new source of medication. We'll need people keeping an eye on the cameras around the cities. The rest will be out in the streets looking." Montoya asks, "What will you be doing?" Azrael destroyed most of the Batmobiles when he attacked the GTO. There's only one left. Bruce looks down at the very first model Batmobile. He tells her, "Yeah, and it's my favorite one." As everyone gets ready to head out, Nightwing stops Bruce asking, "What happens when we catch Azrael? Is he going to be brought in safely and allowed to serve his time, or do you have something else in mind, Bruce?" Bruce asks, "What are you trying to say?" And Nightwing tells him, "I know exactly what this is about. It's not worth it. You'll not be able to live with yourself. Batman does not kill." Bruce thinks long and hard for a moment, and then he tells him, "Batman is dead, and so is Azrael." The check engine light kicks on, and Bruce races ahead, leaving Nightwing behind. With the streets clear, empty of civilians, Bruce thinks to himself that this is it. This is his last night as Batman. As Bruce stands out in the open, Montoya calls over the citywide monitor stating that they have spotted Azrael, East River Highway heading north. Bruce puts on his mask and he jumps in telling her, "I'm on my way." Everyone quickly converges to the reported site and they see Azrael swinging from the rooftops. Montoya tells everyone that they need to quickly get ahead and stop him before he doubles back around. That's when Azrael lands in the middle of the streets. Bruce presses a button, and as the rest step on the gas, they suddenly feel their cars slowing down. Bruce speeds by, with Nightwing quickly getting out to check what's wrong and shouts, "I knew it! A remote disruptor!" With Bruce alone, he opens fire on Azrael, throwing him off balance, launching a grappling hook, snagging Azrael by the leg. Once secure, Bruce hits the brake, slamming Azrael into the back of the car, turning on the thruster. As a fire washes over him, Azrael gets back up, telling him, "Now that was a nice trick." Bruce flips the car into reverse, driving backwards all the way to the airport, crashing into a plane. As that plane explodes, Bruce gets out of the car holding an assault rifle, pointing it directly at Azrael. Azrael tells him, "And I thought Batman didn't kill. Isn't that what makes us so different?" Bruce pulls the trigger, but as the bullets are pelting Azrael's armor, he leaps forward, grabbing Bruce, asking, "If you're no longer Batman, then who are you?" Bruce struggles, telling him, "I am your reckoning." Azrael lifts Bruce up, telling him, "I have traveled the world seeking something bigger than myself, something that would repair me, bring me peace. But instead, I found that there's no peace for someone like me, only war. And as I look back at the blood spilled in my wake, I realize that I've become too accepting of those demons, that I've lost my soul. I would bring others into that war, but right now I am alone. trying to be a martyr in a battle that killed me a long time ago. We're the same, brothers like Cain and Abel, not bound by blood, but by destiny. God put us on different paths, but we ended up in the same place. The city will fight you, Batman, even after this. But then again, there won't be a city left, not after the flood. Suddenly, the sound of the car can be heard as it crashes into Azrael, freeing Bruce, knocking him back. Bruce gets back up and Nightwing steps out asking, "Is that a gun? What are you trying to do? This isn't how we do things, Bruce." Bruce tells him, "Azrael has to die for what he's done, for what he stands for. Maybe Batman will die in the process. Maybe that's for the best. Maybe that's what Gotham really needs, a clean slate." Nightwing asks, "Haven't you learned anything? After everything that's happened, nothing's changed." Bruce takes a deep breath and then tells him, "It's because of me that Gordon is dead. Barbara can barely stand. Azrael is right. I brought this war upon everyone. I tried to save them and I failed because I wasn't much of a father to them." Nightwing begins to cry, telling him, "Maybe not, but you were my father, and I still believe in you. Don't end it this way. Don't make me watch." Bruce stops him. "You've always been smart enough to see the flaws. Maybe that's why there's always been a wedge between us. Because we both know who the better man is. Now step aside and let me end this, Dick." Nightwing shouts, "Fine, but end it your way, not as Azrael, as Batman." A short while later, after putting in the report that Azrael is planning on destroying the dam, the Coast Guard orders the pilots to sweep the area in search of Azrael, but as one pilot heads out, he is stopped when he sees Azrael waiting in the shadows for him. As he approaches the dam by helicopter, Bruce rockets into the lake, converting the Batmobile into the boat model. Azrael and Batman's missiles both fire at the same dam, but Azrael's missiles miss and Bruce is hit. The helicopter comes crashing down when Azrael pulls himself out of the wreckage, and he sees Bruce standing there holding the rapiers his father once hung on the wall. Azrael begins to set the laser sight on Bruce, telling him, "This batarang's going to rip right through you, and you brought rapiers? Swords to a gunfight." Bruce calls out, "I saw the sword on your back. Iradat Allah. It's Arabic for God's will. If that sword is God's will, then that's all you should need, right, Azrael?" Azrael laughs and pulls the sword out. "May the Lord shine brightly on each of us." They both go in swinging and striking. Each of Bruce's attacks removing bits and pieces of Azrael's armor. As Azrael swings his sword, knocking one of the rapiers away, stating, "You never change, always trying to disarm your opponent." Azrael lunges one last time, knocking away the other rapier, but Bruce quickly jumps behind him, slamming Azrael's head into the car, telling him, "Shields!" The car quickly begins to clink as the armor plating comes out, and then it slams shut onto Azrael's head. Bruce takes the sword from him, and as he pulls his helmet off, Azrael grabs the blade, telling him, "I have one last question for you. Do you think they knew? Your parents? Did they know that they were swine draped in pearls? Fake aristocrats bred from rotten bloodlines?" Bruce grits his teeth as he pulls back on the sword and he swings, the sword cutting cleanly through Azrael's throat and the blood pouring out. Azrael tells him, "You hit my carotid artery. You did it. You killed me. You finished what the car started. You eliminated the last Wayne." Bruce takes off his mask, running to the car, grabbing the first aid kit, telling him, "No, I won't let you die." He begins to stitch it up, using a thread and needle as quickly as he can. And as he spares Azrael, he returns to the GCPD so that Azrael can safely be put behind bars. As everyone welcomes him back, Montoya asks, "Are you sure about this?" And Bruce holds out both his wrists, telling her, "Yes." People far and wide come to watch as Bruce steps into the police car. And when he gets in there, he sees Harley Quinn at the wheel. He asks her, "What are you doing?" And she tells him, "I've already lost Jack. I'm not losing you. I can't be alone." Bruce tells her, "You won't be. You're not alone. You're just feeling lost. I know the difference. I would personally like to thank you for everything that you have done. Without your help, this whole thing might have ended differently. You guided me out of darkness. You saved my soul. And right now, I'm returning the favor. I'm not going anywhere, and if you need anything, you know where you can find me, Harley." She unlocks the car. She steps out, and she sees Bruce's hand on the window. She draws a heart with the droplets of water. The next day, Gotham begins to heal as life slowly goes back to normal with the help of the Wayne fortune. But the next question remains on the minds of everyone. Without Batman, what kind of city will Gotham be? Bruce sits in his cell awaiting his trial when a voice asks, "Why am I here?" Bruce tells the man in the military uniform that Montoya wanted someone to keep an eye on him, someone who knows his tricks and can stop him from escaping. The man tells him, "We both know that no cell can hold you. Do you really expect me to believe that you intend on staying here? There's got to be another reason." Bruce stands up and he tells him, "Yes, there is. I want to talk." As the man steps forward, the light glints off his name tag, and it reads, Todd.
And that was Batman Curse of the White Knight. What did you guys think of this great Elseworlds story? Let us know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Rest in peace, man.